So let's start with the leadership newspaper. 2024 budget, security, jobs, poverty reduction, top priorities. A defense gets lion's share as Tinubu lays 27.5 trillion naira before National Assembly. And then you also have other stories, not very cheering one there. 36 die, 52 injured in Kwara, Kebbi auto crashes. The Daily Times, PDP rubbishes Tinubu's 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget. It will further asphyxiate Nigerians, the party says. And then you have 12 dead and many injured in Kwara auto crash, also making this paper sad one for the Daily Times here. Okay, we have Daily Sun. National Assembly leadership expresses worry over high debt burden, admits Nigerians facing hard times. Tinubu lists security, employment, others as 2024 budget priority areas. And then the PDP says next year's budget deceitful. Appeal court judgment, one killed, others injured as protests spread in Kano. And then People's Daily 2024 budget proposal to NAS Tinubu prioritizes security, poverty reduction in 27.5 trillion naira spendings. That's on page 5 with all the other riders to that story. And then you have bandits abduct new couple, imam, wife, children in Kaduna Millennium City, kill 2 women separately in Taraba. Sad one, the People's Daily front page. The Nigerian pilot, 110 million kids at risk. UNICEF raises alarm, says 110 million children risk climate change challenges in Nigeria. And then that they are confronted with harsh realities of rising temperatures, flooding, others. Okay, I bet that will make an interesting read. So you find out how you can contribute to dealing with this problem. Supreme Court says old new Naira notes to coexist till further notice. Let's see the Daily Asset, also leading with the 2024 budget, says federal government earmarks 8.25 trillion naira for debt servicing, emphasis on tax revenue than borrowing. That's Edu, the minister, talking there. And then budget deceitful and hopeless, according to the PDP. Member states ONDDC 2 trillion naira from allocations since 2000. This coming from Obuku. You may want to pick up the Daily Asset and read up the details of that story. And this Nigeria, Wike defends a 61.55 billion naira supplementary budget before National Assembly, vows to continue demolition of illegal structures. You can check out the details of that story on page 7. And then this paper is laden with Kanu Guba crisis, youths protest, teenagers killing as police arrest killer corp, NNPP calls for probe of teens' death, 6 EU-US, others intervention in unfolding confusion. That's on page 4. The Nigerian News Direct, customers of liquidated banks unwilling to repay 400 billion naira debt. That's coming from the NDIC Managing Director on page 21 of the new Nigerian News Direct. And then you have customs intercept live ammunition hidden in rice bags in Ogun State. You can check out that on page 3 of the paper. The Nigerian Express, 3 men remanded in prison over alleged armed robbery, murder of Senator Yaye's aide, and 12 dead, 10 injured in Kwara Road accident is also making the front page of this paper. And then with a bold headline there, COVID-19 lockdown account for 535.8 million naira school feeding, and that's court orders minister. The blueprint. Recapitalization. Nigeria needs bigger banks to achieve $1 trillion economy from the NDIC. Page 8 for details. 2024 renewed hope budget, security, job creation, poverty reduction, top priorities. That's coming from Tinubu. You have that on blueprint as its leading headline. On Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu economy will grow above global forecasts in 2024. You can check out details of that story. It's also about the budget. Yedati was set to preside over Ondo Exco. Group falls Ondo Speaker, others on resolution over undated resignation letter. You have that on page 4. Let's check out some business stories on the Business Day newspaper. Federal government's 9 trillion naira budget deficit raises concerns despite fuel subsidy cut. Analysts say oil production target could be a stretch. Nigeria's oil markets on the spotlight as COP28 opens. And then you have other stories there. PFAs in stiff competition as transfer window hits 710 billion naira. Gentlemen, let's get in with the story. We saw the budget presentation yesterday by the president, and interestingly, it is making all the papers this morning, with different angles reported by different papers. So let's see how the leadership led with that story. It says security, jobs, poverty reduction, top priorities. Defense gets lion's share as it relays 27.5 trillion naira budget before the National Assembly. How did you see the budget presentation yesterday?
Well, I read through the scripts of the presentation by the President to the National Assembly on the 2024 budget. Looking at it holistically, there is nothing new that has been introduced. It is something that Nigerians have been accustomed to in the last 8 years. So his first presentation was not like a clear deviation from what the Buhari administration did. There's more emphasis on jobs, on security, and other things. But how did we fare in the last 8 years? Nothing much. Because there are certain fundamentals that have not been reached. Now, with the way our oil sector, which happens to be our greatest revenue earner, has become, it's always very difficult because we are not in control of it. Somebody just described to me that what the budget, the 2024 budget is just an hallucinatory budget. It is something that is anchored on things that are not reachable. Now, when you review the medium-term expenditure framework from 26 billion to 27.5 billion, and then you now say the value of the dollar is now from 700 to 750, the issue is, can you attain that objective? No, totally no, because we all know that the production level of crude oil as it stands now is just about, it hovers between 1.1 and 1.2. And because we don't even have the instrument to actually measure the production level in our crude oil, it throws everything into uncertainty. So when you now said 750 naira to $1, and at the end of every month, some of the governors go out there to get the dollars out on the street or to get in the bank, how do you realistically attain that objective? I want to tell you, it is something that is a fast stretch. It will not be in the park. Mm-hmm. So when you really look at the 2024 budget as it stands, it's something that is very difficult because it's anchored on things that are very difficult to attain.
These are proposals, aren't they? And what it means is that if you propose something, it's just like a plan.
Yes.
Really, okay, this is what I intend to do. And then the onus is now on you to work assiduously towards achieving what you have set out, the plan you have set out for yourself. So are you saying that Nigeria cannot, get by this by making deliberate effort to, achieving some of these targets? Like getting the refineries to work, for instance. I've heard the president say, the refineries will be, got to functional again. Yeah. And then some other issues that he talked about, so, rejigging the security architecture and all of that. Now, is it not about deliberately, making efforts towards achieving these targets?
You see, I'm more concerned with the sincerity of the political leadership. Once you don't have the willingness and the commitment of the political leadership to go through all this proposal, everything will go down. Now, I'm yet to see the sincerity of government in pushing for those commitments. Now, that is the basis of the doubt expressed by some Nigerians. You'll be aware that they said Nigeria is losing about 10 trillion in gas flaring in the last 10 years, so all the story. But what has happened? And we've had deadlines on how to end this gas flaring for quite a while, and we never realize it. Why is it that Nigerian government have never realized it? It's because of the lack of will on the part of national leadership. I agree with you that budget are simply proposal. And in Nigeria, it's become a mere ritual. People simply go down, read the budget proposal, put it before the National Assembly, off they go. The problem is that we don't have an independent agency that will really look at the implementation of this budget. Sometimes you even find that it's about 30%, 40% implementation, and nothing happens. But when there are certain things, when there's an agency to monitor the implementation of this budget, then that is when we'll have the hope that things are being done right. But as it stands now, government simply comes, tell us, oh, we want to create jobs, want to do security. Now, we have spent trillions of naira on security in the last 8 years. What has happened? As I speak with you today, yesterday, they kidnapped an imam and his wife, and they killed another people, some other person in Taraba. It's all because of the absence of political will. When you have the political will to run through this thing, it will work. But it's not working in Nigeria is because that the leaders are not showing the commitment they ought to display, they ought to demonstrate. And that is the major issue. So once you have the commitment of leadership, I can tell you everything will go right. We have in Nigeria a citizenry that is willing to follow all the way through. But the leadership don't possess the political will. Because political leadership in Nigeria is seen as access to political power without corresponding responsibility. Once they get into that corridor of power, what do? They try to empower themselves, they try to empower their cronies, and that's the end of it. And this is very, very bad. I just watched a trending video clip where a Nigerian died I think in Canada. And just last 2 or 3 weeks or so, there was a protest in Dublin against foreigners coming to take over their jobs. So things are so strangulating in Nigeria. Things are so bad because we cannot confront the realities of our time. Because we have become so docile, what we can only do is to run away from the country. And let me tell you, it will take a long while. It may not be in our lifetime, but someday those whites, the people in Europe, they will drive away all those Africans to go back to their own countries. The earlier we realize that we do not have any other country than Nigeria. Because once you are living abroad, you are more of a second-class citizen. But what we are saying is that this country called Nigeria, this continent called Africa, can be remade. Certain things can take place. And it is only when the people themselves rise up to demand the National Assembly, to demand the lawmakers who are their true representatives to stand up for them. Nothing will work. Because political leadership in Nigeria is all about access to power and all the luxuries associated with it. They don't give a damn about responsibility. So upon that basis, you will understand why Nigerians are expressing doubt over the realities of the 2024 budget as presented by Tinubu yesterday.
All right, the president tagged it a budget of renewed hope, meaning that he understands that there's already a hope that has waned that needs to be renewed. And also his government is also on that mantra of renewed hope. So hopefully things will get better, or he will be able to change the narrative at the end of the day. But the PDP has also rubbished this budget presentation and actually says it will further asphyxiate Nigerians. And the party says it contains nothing to revive economy, only renews hopelessness. I mean, I don't know. We also have on the other side that the National Assembly members are also expressing worry over, the deaths increasing debt profile of the country, because we also have a particular amount also earmarked to service debt. Okay, 2024 budget, federal government earmarks. Can we flip back to that paper? Okay, poverty. Okay, it's not there, but that's exactly what I'm trying to say. That there are two angles to this story. Talk about the budget. They talk about the debt servicing and the amount earmarked for that. Yeah. So how do we go about it, and what the PDP is talking about this budget presentation? Is it because it is not the PDP's government, or are they really being realistic?
Well, let me state here that the PDP and the APC are just only it's just the same difference. When the people that are in power, they do what they do. So we expect those people in the opposition to say what they need to say. But of course, I align with the PDP in this time, because they see the realities. They are closer to the pulse of the Nigerian people. They know what they feel. They've seen poverty walking. They've seen poverty stalking the lives of ordinary Nigerians. So they have a right to tell you, oh, this is what we are seeing. The truth of the matter is that if it were the APC that was outside and the PDP inside, it would see the same thing. But the truth of the matter is, the budget 2024 does not have any hope for the ordinary Nigerian. Why? Because it's anchored on variables that cannot be attained.